Alright, Super Low Pursuit. Back, gonna try finishing this gym quest. I had to take a break for breakfast, but. And, still listening to Final Fantasy Union. Excuse me, sorry, here we go.
Establish why that happened within the game. And obviously when it came to Before Crisis, again, intentional or not, I don't know, they gave him an eye. Or two eyes, I should say. And then the fan theory started going around that Red 13 was kidnapped by Shinra. We know that Professor Hojo was trying to do experimentation on him. Potentially Hojo did something with it. And then in the Ultimania, on the 10th anniversary for Final Fantasy VII, they put in there that yes, Hojo removed his eye. So, you know, is that coincidental that people would come up with the theory and then the Square Enix would put it later that says, yeah, you know, that's true. Another one was with Kuja, for example, that the fact that he was kind of maniacal, and people theorised that it must have been because he didn't have a childhood. He was born an adult, and him playing out the way he did is essentially the fact that it's him showing his immaturity. And again, that then materialised in the Ultimania. So even Najima has said more recently that he keeps an eye on fan theories, because yeah, like they craft stories in certain ways, and they obviously are trying to do the best job they can, and maybe they're not aware of things they've left out, or loose ends that they haven't covered off. And then when they start seeing, well, I mean, there's a team of them, let's say it's like, I don't know, a team of 4 or 5 people working on the scenario in different guises, and obviously there's the wider team who are playing the game and trying to interpret it the best as they can. But then their game's going to be shipped out to millions and millions of people, and those people are going to have their own interpretations. Some of them will be much more creative than others, and Najima was saying that he likes to keep abreast of the wider theories that crop up from the fans. And yeah, some of them they do incorporate into future works where they think it makes sense, and or leverage things that are good. Why wouldn't you do so? In many ways, I think it's quite a healthy thing to do that. It shows that they are paying attention. It shows they are interested in developing the characters, and yeah, if they see some good ideas that the fans have kind of put out there for general consumption, that's not to say they're not going to try to integrate them in any way. And you know, as we had with Katazo last year when he did the interview with, I think it was the Edamame arcade channel, where they were running through, no, it was where they were running through popular fan theories and whether or not they're true. With the score of that one, he said, yeah, he likes the sound of that, and if they ever did a Final Fantasy VIII remake, that it's something that he might potentially get to incorporate within the game. I don't know how he would do that, but he was very the opposite when it came to Renault and Ultimacia. He said, no, it's not true, I'm not interested in it, it's not even feasible, which is, you know, the difference in opinion pumping between the two theories is actually really interesting to see, because you know, there is some merit clearly to the Forza theory. It's not something that they ever envisioned happening or seeing. They didn't craft that intentionally into the story, but there is the potential for it to exist, and it's something that they would be willing to explore for whatever reason. I think it's just such an interesting topic, and you know, there's always the potential for things to happen when it comes to fan theories. You know, if Lauren was here, I'm sure she would talk about the fact that you know, fan fiction has a very prominent place, and sometimes fan fiction can even come on to be something that's even larger than the property it came from. I'm sure that there are many but there has to be video games that have been written based on fan fiction that have become prominent. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head because it's not something I've really ever looked into, but there has to be people that were playing these games when they were younger, started to use them as inspiration for their own storytelling and story writing practice. And then maybe they end up using those ideas to create something of their own that has gone on to do something with its own right. That has to be the case because it happens elsewhere. And, that's one of the easiest ways to learn, to try and copy what someone else has done, to replicate, and then once you become confident with that, then you start going on and building things out in another way and putting your own stamp on things. That has to happen with this. But when it comes to back to the Final Fantasy aspect of things, I think it's incredibly interesting, healthy. I mean, we've seen on YouTube the theory videos that were coming out for Final Fantasy 15 beforehand. People were absolutely going crazy around those, and even the ones that came out post-launch, the Pitios Ruins theory and everything that came into that. There was a ridiculously huge thread on Reddit about everything that the Pitios Ruins meant, the symbolism behind it, and there were so many different aspects to it. And yeah, some of the things were maybe a bit far-fetched, some of them were incredibly logical, and from what I believe, the team have even come out and validated it and some of the DLC, which again just shows you that there is always a potential that you're going beyond what the creators intended, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Yeah, some of the theories that come up are going to be quite outlandish. We now know, for example, that and this isn't a spoilers or anything, the Naga theory for Prompto is pretty much defunct, and there's probably no way that the Loki theory is Prompto is true either. But that doesn't mean it's not exciting for people to come up with these, and the Naga theory, for example, again, people wanted to believe some aspect of it, and I don't know whether that's more of a damning indictment of the story itself, from the sense that people didn't feel as though Prompto was a developed enough character within the game, and they were therefore searching for more information about this character because they wanted more backstory.
Yeah, I'll keep going, but I don't think I'm going to do it.
I think with Final Fantasy 15 especially, that was something that they suffered from. There wasn't this kind of fleshing out of characters, there was no wider story, and so anything that people could latch onto that maybe gave it a bit more substance, that was great for them, and it helped to enrich the story. I mean, we did videos afterwards trying to talk about the importance of Ravus and Luna Freya within the story, and try to really highlight the actions that they took, how they influenced proceedings, and try and give them a bit more substance. And people really enjoyed that kind of content because, again, it helps to further the discussion about the games. It helps to bring new light to things that potentially you hadn't seen before. And I think it's a positive thing. And I don't know whether or not you guys listen to this now think this is maybe a weird topic to be discussing. I think maybe it would have been better if Lauren was here as well to discuss it with me. But either way, I think it's basically what I'm trying to say is that fan theories are really healthy. Yeah, some of them do go a bit too far, but I think that when it comes to people who are engaged with a property, they really fall in love with the story and the characters, and they want to do something further. It's no different from fan art, where people try to put their own spin on characters. They will try to build relationships between characters that potentially weren't there within the main story, and it's just helping people to create an even more deep fantasy than the one potentially they were given. And I can't see anything wrong with that. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much the discussion topic for this episode. I appreciate it's probably a bit shorter than the last one I did by myself, but yeah, it's not necessarily an easy topic. I don't have tons of statistics to run around. I mean, I could talk about the fact that school is dead theory has been shared literally everywhere. Loads of
Alright, once I get to the boss, I'm gonna
it's the same with other theories,
see
like
about another podcast,
7
maybe
10 worlds being connected.
or something.
Extremely popular theory, and there's also the theories that they're all connected. There's even wider ones about Gilgamesh, Omega, being interdimensional creatures that are seen in every single game. There's so many theories out there, especially relating to Final Fantasy, because every game is separate, and people want to believe that it's all connected. Every single world is connected. The Final Fantasy 7 and 10, the fact that they made that kind of small comment within Ultimania really set people off, and they started theorizing about how it could be possible and all this stuff, and that's great. Again, further discussion gets more people interested in the game. But yeah, so that's pretty much the topic. I'm now going to go on to the music segment, potentially a bit earlier, but there's a reason why, and it's because I'm going to talk about music for a little bit. We don't usually spend too much time talking about music segments per se, but I think in this case I wanted to talk a bit more about music. So,
alright, that's fine.
The music for this episode is from Final Fantasy 2, and it's an arrangement of Towns, which is something I absolutely adore. If you haven't played Final Fantasy 2, then at least go to the campaign. It's so well crafted. I was actually just listening to the interview that a new interview that anyone on our channel, where they had Kitase, Uematsu, and Sakaguchi on, and they were talking about Final Fantasy 7, and also kind of the conception of things how it used to be back in the olden days, I guess before Kitase was even there. And they were talking about Final Fantasy 7, how when Uematsu was writing the opening bomb mission, Sakaguchi flew over from Hawaii to see how the music worked with the cutscenes and everything, and he basically just, the only feedback he gave was, it's very good. And then that was it. But Uematsu was saying that in the earlier times,
we're vigorously sucking up our enemies and stealing their abilities. That other means we're and licking the right off our best friend. A shot of but we're playing Kirby's Adventure on this episode of Doki Doki Game Club. Hello and welcome to Doki Doki Game Club,
I just
the
missed
Retro
it,
Video Game Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Fincher, and I am joined today by the very best Waddle Dees and Waddle Doos Dreamland has to offer. Frank Martin. Brian Grogan.
no.
And Mr. Joseph Lester. Hey. On Doki Doki Game Club, we each take a turn choosing a particular title from video game history, and it's a selection online so everyone can play along at home. From there, we have 2 weeks to spend with the title, at which point we reconvene to dig into the ins and outs of the selection. Today's pick was made by Brian, and that title is Kirby's Adventure for the Nintendo Entertainment. Kirby's Adventure was released in 1993 for the NES as a direct sequel to Kirby's Dream Land, released on Game Boy a year earlier. The series developer is HAL Laboratory, also known for the Mother, aka Earthbound series, and the Super Smash Bros. Series. Alright, my beautiful, pink, round, puppy boys. Let's talk about a little game called Kirby's Adventure. Not to be confused with Kirby's Dream Land, which it's very easy to confuse with it. It is. So I would love to begin, as we sometimes do, by hearing about your individual experiences with the Kirby franchise. Because based on our collective ages, I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and say that none of us played Kirby games when they originally came out. Is that correct?
That is a lie. I did.
That's incorrect, yeah. Oh, damn. Okay. Okay, alright. So Brian and I...
2 out of 5.
2 on one side of the spectrum, and Frank is
I don't remember where I started out last
let's
time.
get the guys who have played this out of the way, and then Brian and I will share our sort of details on why we did not play a Kirby game as kids. So, Frank, being the youngest, let's go beauty before age, and perhaps you can tell us a thing or two about your history with the Kirby game.
Well, it started when it first came out. I remember I had a childhood friend who had it, and I kept borrowing it because I loved it. It was a really good game. And then I remember when Superstar Saga or something like that came out on the Super NES. Is that what it is, Joseph? I think it is.
Yeah, it's Kirby Superstar.
It's
Kirby Superstar.
Superstar, okay, yeah. And so that one I...
Those games did well.
Yeah. Really good game. I would definitely recommend it.
It's really good, yeah. Actually, I played that on Test Buster.
Yeah, it's great. And I had series at all. I mean, I played all the games that came out. There's the one that came out on the 3DS not long ago that you played in a robot.
Oh, dude, that game is awesome. I'm just gonna tell you, playing a robot is awesome.
Yeah, it looks pretty baller. You're like Mecha Kirby.
Yeah, it's Kirby with fast.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you know anything about my musical endeavors, you know Dyad, and Dyad is obviously heavily influenced by the soundtrack, the spacing and stuff and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that definitely wasn't better.
Yeah, so I love Kirby, and specifically this game more than the other ones.
Okay, that's good to hear. Joseph.
Yeah.
So you and I are. No, we're about a year apart. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we're pretty close in age, but I go back and forth. Like, Kirby came out pretty late in his lifespan. I wasn't playing my NES at the time. I definitely played Kirby's Adventure, but I didn't definitely complete it back then. I remember playing Kirby 64 though when that came out, the Crystal Shards, and until that one, I kind of had this belief that Kirby games were baby games, but there's just this undeniable charm to them that really hooked me in. I think it was that first 64 entry where I was like, okay, I'm a Kirby fan.
So for people following along at home, give us a year, just a general year if you can remember, of when that 64 Kirby game came out.
It was 2000.
Okay. So you were...
So I was probably like 19.
Yeah, okay, all right. So you said you hadn't...
Never too old for Kirby.
No, definitely not. So you said you hadn't kept up with the series, but you kind of just like, it's a franchise that you sort of popped in and out of through the years?
Yeah, it's one of those series, like, I played most of the entries, but didn't own all of them, but you know, like, there were some, inevitably, that, like, every third game I'd be like, oh, I'll play this Kirby game through. You know, like, or I'll buy this Kirby game. So, it's the series that keeps on giving, I would say, because they release a lot of Kirby games.
Yeah.
That for sure. I mean, yeah, we can get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that brings us to Brian. Brian, why did you not play a Kirby game until recently?
Yeah, I never knew anybody that owned one. Like, I couldn't borrow a Kirby game from anybody. Like, people had moved on to the Super Nintendo at that point, and I guess I was kind of getting to the age that I don't know, like, talking video games at school wasn't. At least where I grew up, that wasn't exactly the lunchroom.
I guess,
Yeah.
I was gonna go through my sub slots here to see if I can swap anything out.
I don't know. With my friends, I had like a handful of friends that sort of followed me through elementary school, and then like when I went to middle school, there was the friends kind of to school, and there was some moving going on. But I say that because there was video game talk as a young man was definitely a thing. I mean, like it was the center of my universe through elementary school, and into middle school it started to taper off just a little bit. But yeah, I was like the kid, like the bad little boy who was like, I always wanted like the tough stuff, you know, like the scary games, like the action games. Yeah, you know, and it seems corny in hindsight when you think of like that sort of marketing ploy from game companies. But man, like I was just, it's strange to say that because despite not getting the Genesis as my first 16-bit console, like I wanted the SNES, that marketing was for me. You played
Loaded on PS1?
I definitely awareness of Kirby was there. It was real in our games, or issues of Nintendo Power and the games covered in it. But yeah, I just nothing of the aesthetic of that appealed to a 12 or 13-year-old way. At least, like the opposite of what I was getting into.
You were like, "Where's the gun?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's swords. Yeah, something. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. And I give it a chance, and I never rented it. And it's unfortunate because I played the game now. I mean, I don't want to give away my ultimate impression, but I would say I definitely missed out on an experience. A carefully crafted game experience. So, yeah, I don't know. In hindsight's always 20/20, and you can't really hold account of your the follies of youth. But I never played a Kirby game. I even missed the N64 is kind of a hole in my game history. Like I never owned one. I had access to one actually in '99. And you mentioned that when I moved to where I currently live, my who's currently my wife, her sister had an N64. I borrowed one, and I played a bunch of games that I rented. It was mostly like GoldenEye and.
It's not really you can play that now.
Yeah, not really. Not at this point. It's definitely part of that. We've talked about on the show that era of Polygon development is not synchronization.
It's like the awkward teenage years of game.
Yeah, for sure. But Kirby. I'm ready to make up for lost time and talk a little more about it.
So can we now play episode 14 will be the next Kirby game?
It's becoming official
Kirby's Dreamcast.
Oh man, that's kind of nice ring. So without just kind of glancing over it, while we're on the topic of history, I would like to kind of have a little chat, especially you guys who have a greater familiarity than I do with the sort of significance of this character, what he meant for Nintendo as a, I mean, he wasn't a first-party property, right?
It's a third party.
Yeah. And my knowledge of sort of game history informs me about how Laboratory's connection to Nintendo, and then you got Iwata who got his start there. But I don't know. What do you guys? I guess the significance of Kirby as this second party to first party character feels pretty significant.
Well, I think it was a pretty big deal, Kirby's introduction, because who knew what it would go on to be, obviously, but at the time it's kind of like it was pretty sparse as far as introducing new mascots and new like principal characters for that you identify with. Kirby was the first one in a while, I think, that really felt like a new game. It's kind of like how when Splatoon came out.
Oh yeah.
And that's like at first you're like, this isn't going to be a new property, but now it's like associated with Nintendo property.
Pretty stable.
It's like Kirby quickly became a staple.
Yeah, and I mean I have to assume that was based on the success of the Game Boy game.
I think so, but I think this game really is the one that locked Kirby down for good, because the Game Boy game is fun, but I mean when it was marketed over here, it was right over here. Kirby was like a host on the cover. It's like they didn't even know.
Yeah, he wasn't
the quality was in it.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the box art of the US Game Boy release, it's white, so it's like, oh, it's like a ghost.
All right.
So, yeah, exactly.
Might be enough for me over.
And that one I think you could just suck enemies up and spit them out.
Okay, so maybe as a projectile. Okay.
There's like no copy ability until this one, so I think this really made him stick around.
Yeah, I mean, and at this point, the Smash Brothers game comes to mind, and I mean, just massive success for Nintendo, and it covers you have all of the mascots in the Nintendo game, and it's basically a cash machine.
All right, I'm gonna run and get a cup of water when this boss is doing its thing. So. Just for love.
Maybe.
Also because
I was gonna say maybe in terms of rankings, you know, like when you think it's like obviously Mario and maybe Link, but then probably Kirby for me in terms of just association.
well, like it's a big deal because like Masahiro Sakurai like designed and directed this game, so and he's like the head of Smash Bros.
Right.
You know, so this seems like I'm not sure if this. I don't know if you guys know if this is like his first game with Nintendo as a director or what, but
I think it is.
you know, it's a pretty big deal. Oh, actually, I'm looking right now because we are the teams of research. He created, according to Wikipedia, the character of Kirby at age 19 and directed his first title, Kirby's Dream.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's like his thing.
And, you know, and I'm not sure of a better place to fit this brief aside into the show, but with the intro to Kirby's Adventure, in the intro screen, you get this little like art instructional on how to draw Kirby. Is there some significance to the Game Boy game as to why that's there, or it's kind of neat? No, okay.
Yeah, it's just a very, very cute and charming intro.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you guys seen the image of where they had the whole team try to draw Kirby?
No.
Yeah, that's an image on the internet, and maybe was this before that, perhaps? Maybe this was a joke about it.
Maybe because like it's a picture of like the whole like most of how the week that they beginning at the 14 and they asked them to like go in and redraw Kirby. And I think like Sakurai has obviously a good grasp on understanding how to draw it, but everybody else is just like a circle or like it's very
it's worse than that. I mean, I don't know how I would do right now, but like the engineers, you know, the coders and all that, they're looking at it.
I guess it's for the coding and not
yeah, exactly. But it might be a throwback to that. Maybe this joke happened.
Nice.
I thought that it was just more recent.
Ooh,
It's definitely it came out in the public eye recently, but I think it must because if you see the picture of them in the picture, they look awfully young.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I wanted to kind of mention here there are a slew of Kirby games. You know, we talked about like it being a franchise that I didn't have a lot of experience with, and Joseph kind of pops in and out from time to time, and man, it looks like maybe over 30 titles.
I hope this video
just
didn't
devoted
come
to
out
this
completely
character as
choppy.
sort of a star character. Which is
The
insane.
cool thing is they have traditional Kirby games like Kirby's Adventure, but they also experiment a lot. Like one of the
All right, cool. I was like, it's probably about as
yes, I think it's Kirby.
at least with restricted keyblades. All right, I'm gonna take a break and then I'll probably work on something else here in a bit.
Oh no, sorry, that's the Wii U one.
Still charged for
I think
8p right now.
Design
Let me
as the
let's
DS
see.
version is kind of a sequel to it. And that's all about drawing a path for Kirby. He's just a ball the entire game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
And like you draw like a rainbow for him and take him through the levels, and it's actually like a really genius game.
There was
Also
another
a
one that was
clever way to utilize that touchscreen, huh?
Yeah.
There's an Epic Yarn
Yeah,
also.
I'm probably gonna
Like the-
try this
kind of
offline
where he's
and then
only
I'll
got yarn and the whole
record a
game is made of
video
cloth
when
and
I
fabric.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
they've done a lot
that.
of cool, they've done a lot of cool stuff with this.
maybe after I do a
Yeah,
banner
there's a
poll.
Kirby. I think there's a Kirby pinball game too. if I'm not
Yep,
mistaken.
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because what's the
Kirby Golf.
Kirby Golf.
Yeah, they've
what's
done a lot of-
rewards for this?
By the way, Kirby Golf, play that 2-player with a friend competitively, and
Yeah, theoretically,
and
you
get ready
get
to
something.
beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, I mean, it looks as though the most recent game came out this year. That sound right?
Yeah, it just came out on the Switch.
Yeah, Kirby Star Allies. So, as always, WWE Game Club, a timely podcast. Yeah, we've got our finger on the pulse here. Yeah, so I guess unless...
I've got one more thing.
Anyways, thanks for watching.
You know,